Hey everyone, I'm Todd Wayne. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Paranomaly Podcast, home for all things paranormal supernatural. A Paranomaly is a weekly podcast focusing on the paranormal, supernatural, and metaphysical. Join us for thought-provoking discussions on paranormal phenomena, conspiracies, and all things unexplained as we talk to researchers and investigators about ghosts and hauntings, UFOs and aliens, urban legends, cryptids, and so much more. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow to receive notifications when new content from Paranomaly Podcast is made available. You can also visit us at paranomalypodcast.com for more content and information, including all our social links. Thank you again for watching or listening. So grab yourself a drink and a snack. Turn the lights off on the way back. Find yourself a nice comfy spot and enjoy this episode of Paranomaly. Stay with us, folks. Hey everyone, so dig this. On this tonight's show, we're talking with Shane and Alex from SAW Paranormal. And Shane and Alex, they formed SAW Paranormal in 2020. And Shane has 6 years of experience with the paranormal. And Alex has been doing psychic readings for 10 years and studying demonology for 12. So together, they go to haunted locations to get proof of the paranormal. And they're on a quest to discover the most haunted places, help people, and expand awareness. So let me bring them on here. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, so before we get into talking about great, big, exciting things, go ahead and tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Would you like to start?
So I'm Alex. This is Shane, obviously. And yeah, I kind of just started doing readings, 10 years back after my own papa passed away. I kind of tapped into my abilities, developed them. I went to a couple different mentors and ended up getting certified. And along the way, I was helping clients. People were having me come to their houses and asking if I could cleanse. And one night I got a message from a guy friend saying, hey, come on a ghost hunt. And I met Shane. And he was really serious about it like I was. So I was like, hey, would you want to go to clients' houses with me? Because these people need help. They're terrified. And we started combating and going to haunted locations and, just making it like a passion, really.
Mm-hmm. Now, who we are.
Shane, how long have you been a paranormal investigator?
Me?
Yes.
I would say 5-6 years, maybe more towards 6. I basically started. Me and my friends went to this one haunted road. It's like an hour away from where I live. We went for fun. It was like the middle of the winter too. We just walked out there with a camera and a flashlight. It was pretty spooky. I don't think too much happened, but then we went back again, and that's when I met Alex. And we brought camera, flashlight. Did I have anything else? I don't think so. A Bluetooth speaker that was playing white noise.
Oh, you had
the
an
EVP recorder,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, because we caught really good EVPs that night.
Yeah, that was like the first time I've actually caught something. Didn't expect much
More
of
than
anything.
The face you caught before meeting me.
That is true. Yeah, first time we went, we caught a face from a picture I took. So I guess that was technically the first piece of evidence I caught.
But for a full all-around video, they were saying like, oh, what if maybe if we bring a medium, more will happen? And I'm like, I'm telling you, like, spirit likes to talk to me. They're gonna want to chit chat.
Yeah.
And it definitely it got you a whole video. So the evidence was incredible. Your friends seemed a little freaked out, for as skeptical as they are.
Yeah.
And yeah, it changed things for you. I think it became more than just a passion for all of us. It definitely became more than that then.
Yeah, that's usually where you start. You start out, you want to have some fun, go do these things, and then you get hooked. And it's like, oh man, now it's going to be equipment. It's going to be traveling.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like a drug.
And plus you guys have a little bit of a kind of an advantage because she is a psychic and you can validate things a lot easier.
Yeah, she's definitely my favorite piece of equipment.
Yes.
But you're more than that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to ghost hunts, you're just another piece of equipment in the
That's
bag.
why I'm not good with the other equipment. You know what I'm saying? He's so the technology person. That's definitely the balance there too. Like I cannot run technology. Thank God he knows how. Because especially when it comes to going into a paranormal investigation or a residential case, I can't like channel and remember what I'm doing with the camera.
Yeah.
Now, Alex, when did you discover that you had these abilities?
So I want to say around 4 or 5. In the house I grew up in, it was extremely haunted. There ended up being a failed exorcism, but I just remember when we were looking into moving into this house, my parents' house, they still live there. I saw a shadow figure in the basement and a shadow figure in the living room. And I remember my mom being like, "Oh, do you like the house? Blah, blah, blah. We're going to be living here." I'm like 5 years old. And I just remember feeling very off put and just being able to see things. I know like we had one car growing up for a while. And I remember having to go pick up my mom from work with my brother and my father. And as we're coming home, we're passing by the cemetery, and I thought they were going to hit like an elderly man or woman. And I was like, "Dad, there's somebody in the road. You're gonna hit him, And they went right through them. And I would see things like that. And as I got older, my abilities shifted a bit to where I didn't see them as much, but then I could communicate full on, especially being in a house like majorly haunted like that. You kind of just start to have more and more experiences with more dark energy. So I kind of got to understand discernment really quickly on with my ability to.
So you had mentioned an exorcism.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that? I mean, you don't have to go into detail, but what kind of events were you experiencing with that, or did you not experience it? It just happened in that house, and then you guys bought it.
So it kind of led up to an exorcism. And I actually was kind of being targeted throughout my teen years. There would be a lot of times while I was alone. It was always like while somebody was alone that they were experiencing the most. I mean, shadow figures, that could happen with everybody home. But I mean, the second somebody left, there would be times where I thought people were breaking into the home because I would hear the doors opening. Nothing was happening. There would be times where you could physically hear running, and it sounded like people were taking their fists and just banging coming up the stairs. I even would try to bring friends over, and my friends would get the sensation of being choked, or they witnessed my mom's hairdryer go off the one time, and my friends just hated going there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that I guess that would have been pretty tough to have friends around then.
Yeah. The more that stuff happened, actually, my friends wouldn't hang out there. I actually always went to my friends' houses during my teenage years because, there was just a few times. I mean, we would hang out in groups, I think, but I don't think you would notice as much when, with kids. I had a brother too, so that was just a bigger group of friends. You get a group of like 10 kids there, you're not really noticing as much. You're being rowdy, listening to music, and, playing games and video games, taking turns, all that. But man, when it got down to smaller than like 3 groups of friends or something, your friends would experience it too, and then they weren't coming back.
Now, when the activity got worse, that's when something had to be done, correct?
Yeah, it became unmanageable really when my brother started dating his ex-fiance, and at the time her mother was a psychic medium too, so me and her would bounce off of each other. But my brother was at work. His girlfriend at the time had come over, and we started to feel weird. She got like a jabbing sensation. I started to get a message from her phone, and I looked at my phone. Her phone wasn't even in the room. And her phone was messaging me saying, "You're tacky and I hate you." And I'm like, wow, okay, this thing's pretty mad. So I started to light my sage and I started to cleanse and pray and everything and open a window. And this is early on. This is early on, even in my study of demonology, where I really didn't know what exactly to do depending on the entity. You can't just go lighting whatever. But, I'm lighting this thing, and usually sage would calm down. It actually quite literally lit on fire. And it got so smoky, we had to stop cleansing. And it kind of felt like the room was spinning. And then after that, she ended up calling her mom. Her mom ended up being friends with my first mentor, ended up being Chrissy London. And she contacted her friend that is a really well-known exorcist in this country. And they planned to come, and they couldn't get there for a week. And within that time frame, the activity got so wicked. We actually ended up taking the animals and getting a hotel room for the last night.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, like the chandelier swaying above my brother's hat. He didn't even, it was wild. Me and my mom were standing like as if me and Shane. And my brother walks in the kitchen and the chandelier starts doing that. And as soon as he leaves, it stops immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
What state is this? I don't need to know the township or county or anything. What
Oh,
state?
you're okay. We're in New York. We're in Western New York.
New York. Okay. All right. Yeah, I like to get insight on where these happen, because I hear, often people talk about demonic things that happen. They had to get an exorcism, and I love to hear where they were and the details. So
Oh yeah.
that's why I'm asking. So now, how long did it take for them to get this demonic entity out of the?
So really the process was only 25 minutes. Really, we met him up the morning of. We all stood in a circle and prayed outside while the exorcist went in and did his thing, and he even went through with his holy blessed incense and whatnot afterward. And it felt really clear after, but it's very, very regular for an entity to come back after a couple days. And unfortunately, there weren't circumstances that were fully met with the homeowners at the time. My parents were not fully ready to make the changes they needed to make to meet the exorcism halfway for it to fully do its work. And we do believe it might even have something to do with a family, who knows? But it still lingers there to this day. Things still happen to this day. I have no clue how they're living there. I don't know. I mean, it really only one person is affected the most. It tends to target one person. So yeah, it's wild.
So being that you are in demonology, and you've been doing this for 10 years, right?
So I've been doing mediumship for 10 years, demonology and the phenomena of all that I've been studying for 12. So
Okay.
that at that point I was only about 5 years into studying, and I had been studying a lot with like Ed and Lorraine Warren under their work and looking at what they had done and stuff like that.
So okay, so if the entity is still there,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely not as strong as it once was, correct? Or am I wrong?
It seems, it's hard to say. It seems as though it's gotten stronger. It resorted, from what I know, I believe that someone was actually found. I actually know for a fact that someone was found contorted at one point in this past year in a way that they shouldn't be able to bend due to their health issues. They were bent.
That was in that house?
Yes.
Wow.
And they didn't understand how they got in that position. I mean, they suffer from addiction, mind you, but the victim that was being attacked at that time was completely contorted in a way that they shouldn't be able to bend.
Wow. And see, I when people tell me about addiction, I don't worry about that, because I think what happens is because you're using drugs, alcohol, whatever it might be, that's going to make you way more vulnerable, I believe.
Absolutely.
So that evilness is definitely, it can grab a hold of you because you're not yourself.
Exactly. That's exactly why I mentioned it too. I believe that's why they were vulnerable. And I believe, like, with the addiction being present, I believe that's kind of the loophole that without any other target really to go to, sadly, they'll go through the weakest link, whether that's through drug use or emotionally distraught people or not mentally stable fully, any loophole they really can find.
Yes. And I've had definite experiences with people with mental health issues. Maybe they are, uh, maybe they're, I don't want to say, I want to say people with IDD,
Mhm.
so intellectual disabilities, are more susceptible to something attaching to them, or even not so much something attaching to them, but even for something good too, uh, to be empathic,
Yeah.
to really be in tune with that spiritual side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you shut off some other senses, other ones are made very, very stronger. And I do believe we all do have a sixth sense. I just believe that each person has a slightly different ability. It's like our thumbprint, it's going to be different depending on the person. But I believe we all have that. And just depending on being able to tap into that. Yeah.
Now,
Depends on
in your
consciousness, the timing of our life, you know.
right now, in your both of you experience, uh, doing residential business types of investigations, is it rare um, to run into something that's demonic?
Uh,
I'd say 50-50, depending on, I guess.
it depends. Believe it or not, yeah, it's kind of 50-50, but truly, really, I think because of the work we do and everything, I think the darker cases tend to find us. We end up really do finding cases that need help with something darker, even if it's not demonic. It could be a more negative ghost,
Yeah,
whether
negative.
I've had that where there was a negative spirit and where it wasn't demonic, but it was being negative and kind of just angry. And um it need my first cleansing didn't work. They called me back. I came back. I did a crossing over. And now they haven't heard anything since. Shane and Alex Rock. Aw.
That's people are coming in already, which is fantastic. So now let me ask this, and I know I'm kind of dragging on about the demonic type of thing.
You're okay.
Uh, so there seems to be confusion out there on something evil, demonic, or something normal, a normal spirit interaction, but that spirit could be trying to get your attention by scratching you, by pushing you, uh, things of that nature. Is that correct?
So for me personally, anytime they get physical, that's a no. I have seen spirits that are human scratch and push because they are angry. Um, but other than that, when it comes to a physical attack, you kind of want to start to look more towards negative or demonic, depending on how brutal it is and depending on what was going on. I mean, if you're telling a ghost, like, oh, hey, F you, you know, you might get pushed.
Why'd you point at me?
You're usually out of the one that he's usually the one provoking, and I'm like, Shane, you better be careful.
So there's a question here. It says, is there two sides to the spirit world, like a dark side and a white light side?
I do believe so. I believe there's a liminal space to light and dark, and I believe there are people that can fall on the in between and here and there on that spectrum of light and dark. But I do believe there is a war between light and dark. just in the way that, there's a mouthpiece for God or for spiritual and enlightened healers, there's a mouthpiece for the devil or dark energies too. And you know what I mean? So yeah, I think there's always, we see it in the world every day. Through people and through negative entities and through the paranormal, people dabbling in things that they don't really know, that they believe to be deities and aren't really, ends up being some kind of trickster spirit or something more manipulative and darker than that. So yeah, it really depends. But when it comes to something darker with scratching or any physical things, that's usually a red flag for me. For myself personally, even with the mediumship abilities, if I get dizzy or nauseous, that's my sign that something negative or lower is present. I don't know if that really
How about this
answers,
question here? What's a way to test someone to see if they could have a demonic spirit attached to them? That's actually a pretty good question. How do you know? I mean,
well, you don't. The thing is, if you were to test that, I'd hope you are totally prepared just in case. For because there are exorcisms where there's not much to it and it's more of a spiritual battle. But then I have seen exorcisms go where the woman was quite literally about to be levitating off of her couch. So I've seen it be a more minor exorcism and then a little bit more serious where you need a specific set of prayers. And
so like if you went into a place and someone was acting like completely I don't want to say crazy, but somebody's acting not normal how they should be. Now, how would you know if that's like a mental health issue? Maybe they're having a mental health crisis. Maybe it's someone with schizophrenia or something, and they didn't take their meds, and now they're seeing things. How do you know the difference between those and someone that might have something dark demonic attached to them?
So when it comes to something like that, you really, and as sad as it is to say, you kind of want to check, like you almost want to do a background check with this person when it comes to helping, because I have had cases where they were just unfortunately mentally unstable, and there are cases where it's a mix of both, and there's some where it's strictly just black and white, it's one or the other. And really, you have to do a background check. You have to look at their medical record. You got to make sure that any medications they're on aren't causing any side effects. And secondly, how like crazy people don't know they're crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's so true. You have to really evaluate the conversation, and you kind of have to have a conversation, and quite a few, and it's not just one. So you kind of really have to be working with these people. So when I go into residential cases, it's not just a few days that I'm working with them. It's usually months to like a couple years. Because I get to know them. I don't want to just dive in and and I don't leave them just high and dry either. I really I try not to get too emotionally involved.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of people we've helped, we became friends with them.
We have become friends with them, yeah.
So this was the follow-up. I just wanted to get your input on that. And it says that this is their follow. It says, like if they don't know someone had holy water in their pocket, or someone pray over the house without them knowing.
Oh, if it were a possessed person or something?
How would you know they're possessed?
Because they were talking about demonic spirit attachments.
Gotcha.
If it was attached to
there can be a multitude of signs you can start to look for if someone is leading up to possession or even transient possession, which is where you're kind of in and out. You're not fully taken over or anything like that. There will be blackouts in your memory. You'll be doing things that are not really, you might even like, your friends and family may notice like behavioral differences, or even like in your words, like using different grammar or vocabulary that you wouldn't usually use, or from a different time period. I've seen that before, where you just start like talking like with no knowledge or no reason of. I've even seen the one time, remember when we walked into the one where I ended up doing an extraction, And she swore there was a negative entity in there. I knew there was, but she started mocking and talking. And I mean, like, I was picking up on this entity. It was so weird. And I heard this growl, and she started mocking this growl to a T as I was hearing it. And when we looked back at the cameras, even, you could hear something talking with her. And our audio works perfectly fine. So
that's the trickster video, right?
That was the trickster video that we have up.
Earlier things we filmed.
So you can look for changes in behavior, sleep patterns, sleep disturbances. They might even start to become aggressive or violent. Things like that. You will really see like an uprooted change in their behavior, maybe even their hygiene and how they're taking care of themselves. I'm trying to even think of like some past cases I could bring up. Because I don't want to say, if I were to just go full blown like possessed, because some people could say, oh, well, that could be somebody under drug use. It really can look like somebody, unfortunately, under drug use or mentally ill.
Sure. Yeah, because something is taking over them. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but even like if you're looking at like a full blown like possessed person, you could even look for, you know how people will say, oh, they're going to speak in a different language. It won't not necessarily always be that. You could even look for a like babble, like a really weird babble that seems inhuman or not English. So you can look for things like that, or like the eyes bulging. The one time I actually had to help my friend this is a really good example of, I want to say, a spirit invasion, a moment where she was having her energy completely hijacked and I had to do something kind of rather quickly. We had been investigating and it was about 2 or 3 a.m. We started to wrap it up. She had sat down and I looked over at her and her eyes were really dark and she was smiling and laughing hysterically and shaking. And she was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. She was like, I don't want to be laughing. What the frick is wrong with me? And she started freaking out, but she couldn't stop laughing. And she was like crying. There were tears coming down and she was shaking. So I started doing some energy work and cleansing her. She felt fine after 15 minutes, but she had no control over this laughing fit. And her smile was not her. It was unusually large. So things like that, you can even start to see facial features start to shift.
So whenever that person, whenever they were going through this attachment phase, is what it kind of sounds like to me. They had an attachment. Do you have to move that person out of their house?
It depends. Then and there, usually I just want to do something then and there and get something done to help them. Whether I have to do something more afterwards, I helped her then and there. That seemed to work fine. I personally haven't had to move anybody. I think I've had to move people outside one time for a cleansing because it almost seemed like while they were inside the building, it wasn't letting go of them. So I had to get them out of the building and kind of do it separate. And I think that's through trial and error with extraction too.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask this question. If there is something that is very powerful in a spot, okay, let's say I don't know what demons there are. So let's say this demonic entity moves into someone's home, so to speak. Is it possible for that demonic entity to, how do I want to put this? There's other spirits that are in the house. Okay, spirits come and go. There's transient spirits. There's, spirits that kind of wander in and be like, oh, I like this place. I'm going to stay here for a little bit. Can that entity take those souls and kind of hold them hostage?
Yes, they can. They can almost use them as, I don't know if you want to say a conduit. I kind of say a mask. They can literally use them, like if this were the ghost and I'm the demonic entity, they can kind of whip them in front and be like, oh, look, no demon, and give you all of, and so you won't get the truth, because anytime the ghost tries to tell you the truth, the entity will probably shut it up or cut it off. But then that's kind of a way for earthbound to then, that might have experienced a tragic death or whatnot, be stuck there, or spirits that were just lingering end up being stuck and completely bound there and trapped due to an entity holding them because they don't want to be found out. Yeah, I've seen that a couple times.
Now, those spirits that are kind of held captive by this evil entity, how do you release them from that?
That I end up having to do a crossing over for them. I end up having to cross them over into the light and reconnect them with, God, Jesus, Mother, or whoever they prayed to, their loved ones on the other side. And I but basically just cross them over so their energy and their spirit isn't physically held any longer. And it's kind of like, I guess you could say, a ritual process that I do. I kind of have a conversation with them and energetically make sure there's nothing, if I have to cleanse and make sure that the demonic entity is pushed back with, love and light energy. I have to call in archangels and stuff like that. Sometimes speak like light language to even hold back the negative energy, and call on my guides, and a lot of help. You got to have a strong faith of some sort to get by.
Now, do you have to get rid of the evil entity first, and then you can get rid of, cross over the ones that were held captive? Or
you can usually you'd want to. It really depends situation. It's really case by case, but and if the case were like I had to, like there is a case that we've been working on where I will have to cross over. There's something negative holding some earthbounds there, and I will be doing a crossing over of the spirits there and trying to get rid of, but I had to get to the root of where this entity is coming from to begin with. So I haven't actually done a crossing over yet, because for this case particularly, I will have to deal with the entity first.
Wow, that's fascinating. What made you want to get into demonology? That's the question.
I have no freaking idea. And something called me to it. That's the only way. I experienced a lot of negative things as a kid, and I was traumatized by the paranormal as a child with what was in my parents' home from 5 years old. And after being so terrified, I started to study it. I started to study because what was in my parents' house would go dormant for years at a time. So then I would start to wonder, and I'd be like, other people have got to experience what. And I would start to study from a really young age. And I think I have no clue, because after what happened with my parents' house, I stopped doing readings for a few months. I wasn't helping clients for a couple months, and my first mentor, Christy London, she was like, "You're gonna do what that exorcist Fred does. You're meant to be an exorcist." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "No, you've got to be kidding me." But something drew me back, and I was like, "No, there's something to it," because like watching people be afraid like that and not have answers,
And that would fit in perfectly with how you are, because you're an empath, you are a medium, so you're always wanting to help people. So you're just taking it to another level, a higher level, to help the person.
Yeah.
So with that out of the way, how do you become a demonologist?
I don't think there's any sure way of doing it. I do believe that the practice is going to be different depending on what type of demonology you study. I kind of just study an all about. I don't go just Catholic or Christian or Zoro. I can never pronounce it. I don't just practice one specific form of demonology. I really just try to practice the basis of all of it. And I don't know if there's any sure way, rhyme, or reason. I know there's definitely classes you can take. I truly just studied. I mean, I would watch interviews with Ed and Lorraine. I would look up cases that were really happening, and try to figure out. I would just start to research. Oh my gosh. I remember being in my parents' basement where it was super haunted, by the way. I mean, nobody wanted to be down there. All the creepy stuff would happen. I would be down there for hours, like typing and trying to get like all this research. I would go to high school then and my study halls, be doing research. I just started going to town, and then next thing I knew, I had pages and pages, and I was like, oh, I should keep adding to that. And yeah, next
You
thing
have
I
binders now.
yeah, now I have
Binders
binders.
and binders on that
Wow.
shelf back here, actually.
Yeah.
Now, when you can only go so far. Then you have to get with someone that has the experience, correct?
For
To do exorcisms, things like that.
So with that, that's kind of trial and error as well. I know that it really has to be done, an exorcism has to be done by a shaman, priest, or bishop. I do practice shamanism. We did have some Munich rites done a few years back. I have performed exorcisms, minor and small. I'm not really sure if you would call it professional or not. I've tried to learn a professional route. It's really difficult because a lot of people are like, if you're not in the church, we're shunning you. So I've had a really difficult time. I am trying to work with a priest, or another shaman that can teach me a little bit more about that route, because I'm still learning the shamanism. So yeah, that's difficult. I was definitely looking into mentors for the exorcism. I haven't found one that worked out thus far, because a lot of them are not, there's not a lot of true exorcists to learn from out there that are very, very trustworthy. It's very, very difficult. So I'm still on the hunt to learn from one specifically, but we've done the ones that we have. So far, we've been successful. Which I pray to God. I'm like, oh my God, I have no clue, but I just keep saying that I believe that the universe qualified me to do this work. I have no other explanation as to how I'm able to.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's eventually, sometime or another, you'll end up getting into a situation where you will need the help. So, you always need help sometime down the line. I've only had I've had 2 cases, but the worst demonic case that I ever had, and I'm not a demonologist, I had to get a hold of somebody and be like, look, this is beyond me. I want to help these people, but all the stuff that was going on, and I'm like, look.
Yeah, there's always going to be a case where you need number, and the bigger the numbers, I mean, the more power you have again. So, I mean, yeah, there's always going to be a case where you end up needing to call. And I think someone even mentioned James Anito. I've actually contacted him before for a case. So I've definitely even reached out to others before. And yeah, I continue to try and make friends in the field that kind of work with the same things as I do. And I try to find the genuine ones that truly know what they're talking about, because there's a lot of overnight experts out there too. And that can be very, very shell-shocking and scary. But so, yeah, it's a hunt. I always say I'm still learning. I've been studying for 12 years, but I'm not ever going to be done.
It's a hunt and trial and error.
And with the exorcism and extraction, I mean, that's all through trial and error as well. Well,
that's what this field is. It's trial and error.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're doing the right thing.
Good try.
So let me ask this. Now, this is general for both of you. Where you guys, I know that you do residential and business cases. You deal with them clients. And you have said that you go to bigger places. You go to the pay places as well, because you're getting the experience. You're learning. What is the most haunted place, in your opinion, that you've been to?
Are we gonna have different answers on this?
Probably. You can go ahead.
I personally think Rolling Hills Asylum, for me, the most haunted place we've been to. I How do I put this? I think that's the only place I've had a Zach Bagans moment where, like, yeah, that's the term I use, where like something took over me, kind of like Zach Bagans. And it's a shame that all that footage was gone after we left that place. So much happened. It's really hard to remember what happened exactly. I know there's like a wheelchair in a hallway you can sit in, and you'll start to get pushed. And that happened to me. And then when I tried to move it back, the chair was not moving. Like someone was holding me back. And that really freaked me out.
Yeah, you were definitely getting attacked.
Zach Bacon's moment. It's the only way I can describe it.
And then
so much happened there.
Yeah, for you, that definitely was the most active. I've never seen you that freaked out. For me, it was the Conjuring house or the house I grew up in. Because those two definitely came pretty head to head. I want to say the Conjuring house scared me a bit more, though, because two different negative entities, I think, were kind of throwing me for a loop there. I did not feel good. I was not well.
Yeah, and I've known people that went to that house as well, and a lot of things mentally, physically, psychologically. So yeah, that's a tough place.
It did try to psychologically. I had bad dreams about it where an entity was after me in my dream a couple times. It took a while of cleansings and everything. Once I got my energy back to where it was, I was good. But
it's definitely a nonstop as soon as you walked in to the moment you left.
It was every 5 minutes, yeah. I fainted going up the stairs, and if he wasn't behind me, I definitely would have cracked my head open again.
Wow.
So
yeah, and that place is, I don't know why people really want to go there, to be honest with you. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get when you go there.
No, it's so true. It's weird to say that we'd actually even go back. And I don't know how I can even willingly say that, because the time fainting and the shadow figure we caught, the shadow mist I caught on the live that went over my head. And I couldn't see anything, but you could see the light coming in from the window next to me in the camera. There was a lot of negative energy. I had to go outside multiple times, and I remember laying down in the grass a few different times trying to cleanse. And I was like, it doesn't feel better, because the land was haunted too.
Oh, right. Yes.
It just didn't feel better outside.
And I believe that land is definitely haunted.
There's a lot of history in Rhode Island too. So every inch of that state's.
I've never felt so sick, so nauseous. Yes. You've never been worried about me, and it scared me when you were worried about me. I'm like, oh man, it's real now.
We're that better. I worry about you.
Well, no, but usually I'm
a good person.
Usually I'm the one that people go to when they're scared during our investigation or whatnot, because so for me to be worked up kind of freaked him out, kind of freaked me out.
Right.
So
you guys, you've been to the Conjuring house. Where else have you been to?
We've been to Conjuring, Rolling Hills, Van Horn, Greystone, Hull House, a couple local locations that aren't well known. Usually, they're like Goodleberg Cemetery. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
Pigman's Road. You know Pigman's Road? Angola, New York? No. You got to look up that history. That place is terrifying.
Delaware
Road. A lot of roads, haunted roads that are said to be haunted, cemeteries.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. A lot of them were residential cases too.
Yeah, but that's what I do. I do residential business cases. I've done hundreds of them.
I was going to ask how you got into all this.
Well, I was young. I don't even know how old I was, 10, 11. I was at a friend's house. And, this is back in the day of the Pharaoh, so I'm pretty old. So I used to go spend the night at a friend's house, and their mother used to talk about things that happened to her. and we was, kids. So it's like, yeah, let's hear these scary stories,
Yeah.
And I had some things that happen, and I didn't sleep for 3 days easy. In fact, the one day I slept with my light on, and I remember, I think it was the third day, that light was off and it would not come on. I was paranoid. I was scared to death, and here the bulb just burned out. But I thought something was seriously there to get me when
Oh
that.
no.
So I went into a long journey. All these 30 some years later, I'm still learning. So
Hey, we all are,
Mhm.
That's awesome that you do residential cases too, though. I feel like it takes a lot of hurt to do that.
yes, and it's my personal philosophy is you're not really going to learn if you go to a haunted location such as Penhurst or Waverly. It's great place to go for sure, for the history, maybe catching some kind of out of the ordinary EVP or something. But to actually learn, you would have to rent the place for a whole weekend
Yep.
by yourself. And that is why I have been to a bunch of different places. Penhurst was one that really, that one scared me.
Yeah.
I think Penhurst is really bad. And I think it was
It's on
just
my bucket list.
it's just a bunch of things with that place. It's history, and what that history was, and the abuse and everything else. And it all hits you kind of at one time. But yes, you need to go there with friends, learn different equipment. That is the perfect way to do it.
Right.
But to actually learn, you'd need to rent the place out, and we all know how expensive that would be.
Oh yeah.
Too much.
Honestly, and trying to do that often enough, it's not a great way to learn, because trying to rent places out that frequently just to get a grip of the paranormal, it's definitely easier to find places local to you. And and oh my gosh, it's kind of fun getting residential cases. It's kind of like hidden gems, finding out history you didn't even know about, then being able to help the clients and give them answers, whether it be good or bad. And then even if it is bad, I can cleanse and take care of it. If I can't help, I can call up people and, find somebody that can. And and so far we've had great luck. We've found hidden gems. One of them even turned into a haunted location.
Nice.
It ended up, if you ever have heard of it, it's actually called Kempville Cottage. It recently has gotten around on Facebook and such, but it was a residential case right around Van Horn Mansion, and it blew up. She couldn't stand to live there. She ended up making it a haunted B&B, like a scare B&B, and people can go rent it and investigate, and it's very affordable so that investigators can really like get a good taste of it.
Can I tell you something?
What?
I just understood the scare B&B thing.
Scare B&B?
At the end, yeah. I'm a little...
Scare B&B.
You know what? If he wouldn't have said that, it would have went right over my head.
Well,
I learned something.
Just clicked after how many months?
That's funny.
So, what is your favorite piece of equipment to use?
Is yours yourself?
It's fun.
Yeah, I like the I like the SLS. I like technology. That's probably the most techie thing we have is the SLS camera. We've gotten a lot of good stuff with this. So I'm going to say the SLS. You're my second. No offense.
Oh, really? I'm your second. Oh, I love that though. No, but I don't know. I really do like the Ovilus. I do like the Spirit Box too, but I like the Ovilus.
Now, when it comes to plausible evidence, I find that EVPs are
absolutely
the best, because where did the voice come from?
Yeah,
And that's how I've always looked at it. And I got some really wicked EVPs, and it still blows me away. Anybody can have blinking lights, and you could say to yourself, well, was that a solar flare that happened, 10 hours ago, just hitting us? What is the different things? Because you have your EMF, you have static. A lot of people are buying static equipment now. And it really is something that I advise you to get. Put that in your arsenal of tools.
Agreed.
Because static electricity affects everything. You walk on someone's carpet and you are charged, and you'd be surprised at how far static electricity actually goes. I was blown away when I seen this work, and I'm like, wow, that's something I need for my paranormal toolkit.
Yeah, definitely.
We've had a lot of luck with EVPs.
Yeah, we have actually.
We don't use it enough. We always forget about it.
I know. We'll forget to do EVPs. There are times where we'll do a lot of them, and then some where we forget to do them. But the one at Pigman's Road, getting them outside too.
All of them at Pigman's Road were crazy.
Those were insane. Like full sentences, and
clear
it's
as day.
Outside too. It's like,
we've had a lot of luck with EVP. We gotta use it more. We have to. We gotta remember to use it.
I would like to get better EVPs.
Yeah.
What about the Estes method? Do you guys use that method?
We like the Estes method.
We do the Estes, the green light method.
Which I don't know. Do you know what the green light? I don't know if there's another name for it, but
that I'm not sure.
So this medium on TikTok says that she invented it, or she calls it the green light method. I'm not sure if there's another name for it, but you basically take your psychic medium of the group and you put noise canceling headphones on them. And you put them in a completely different part of the room or house than the person asking the questions. And they channel and you ask questions, and it usually kind of is like Estes, but it's like with the medium. And we love doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We get so much out of it, and it is actually very creepy and unsettling sometimes.
It definitely shocks me every time, too, the correlation of my questions and your answers. It shocks me.
Yeah, because I don't know what I'm saying. I'll be like, wait, I want to look at the camera. I want to know what was going on. Because I'll have no clue what I was responding to. But, yeah, those end up being really fun.
Yeah, because the only other one that I know of, and I don't know what the name of it is they put these, they're lights. They're like glasses. They light up.
I know what you're talking about.
They flicker, though. They flicker back and forth. And it's supposed to disorient you, so you're not you're more susceptible of picking up what's being said.
I want to try that.
All your senses are like heightened.
Oh, yes. I want to try that. I feel like I'd be in another freaking planet. Oh my god!
Me, I'd probably have a seizure because all the lights.
Oh no!
But it looks very interesting, and I've seen some stuff where I just had to go, you know what I mean? Because we don't know. We don't know what's going on and how we are affected by spirits and their energies and things like that. So it's all very much trial and error. Mm-hmm. And I think that with all the new things that are coming out, all these different pieces of equipment, like I said about that one that detects the static electricity, things like that, I think that we're starting to narrow it down a little bit in the field.
Absolutely.
And that's, that's a good thing. That's something that needs to be done. I see too much fake stuff because they want the likes and the ratings. And I think it's getting shuffled underneath what a true paranormal investigator is.
Yeah.
We're all out there trying to find the same things, but there's a difference between, as you know, dust and bugs and a real spirit orb, which is it's elusive to get a real spirit orb. But, I just did a big thing about rods. People are like, oh, these rods, we don't know what it is. Well, they're bugs. And these bugs, the camera can't keep up with the speed.
Yeah.
Slow shutter, whatever.
Exactly.
It's just
they track the light so it looks like a long
thing. Yeah.
When we first started, we orbs were like, this is so cool, but we've definitely toned it down, the orb stuff.
Yeah, we got a little, I don't know, because we used to get a lot of light anomalies and everything, but I don't think we point them out as much because
No.
like we get nervous because depending on how far away and whatnot, you know, it has to be very, very prominent for us to point out a light anomaly.
We do have a couple orb videos we're hanging on to for something secret that it's definitely unexplainable. I think you know what I'm talking about. The super duper secret project. You don't?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, those are no mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, we have some evidence of some orbs light anomalies that are there's nothing. I've never seen anything like that so far.
Now you both have you SAW Paranormal have a YouTube channel.
Yes. It's SAW Paranormal on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever.
TikTok.
And
TikTok.
Do you have like your? I hate to say, I hate using the word evidence. I like plausible evidence because we can't definitively prove it. But do you have a plausible pile of evidence out there?
Yes,
oh yeah, our YouTube's full of videos, investigations.
Everything we've
Nice.
really caught and things that we're coming out with, we post all over our YouTube.
Good.
I mean, we even post. I've posted a video of going to my parents' house and investigating there, and we've posted a little podcast ourselves, actually talking to my mom about her experiences in that house and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, so we have a lot of like things that add up to the investigations, and all of our evidence and stories kind of go right in align with each other.
Yeah.
Nice. That's the kind of videos that I like. I like a little bit of a backstory. I like to know what is going on. I don't need to know who the people are or where they are. I just need to know that backstory. This person had this happening or that, and this is what we come up with at the end. You know, those are the best kind. You know,
exactly.
It's like too much of the para TV. You know, now it's kind of redundant. Now everything is the same over generated stuff.
Yeah.
But when I do enjoy watching people's YouTube stuff because they don't have, how do I want to say, they don't have restraints. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
They're not out to fake anything. You're out there to put that out there, and you have the knowledge about yourself that if someone says, hey, that's a bug, you're not going to freak out. You're going to look, you're going to analyze, you're going to rethink it, and then you can be like, no, well, we tried the whole bug thing and that's not a bug.
Exactly.
So now we're unsure what this is. So yes, and that's what I enjoy, and I think that's what most people enjoy now.
I agree.
Yeah, we're not like trying to prove that ghosts are real. We're just, we're capturing stuff. We're sharing our hobby.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing with YouTubers too. You have that free range of being able to like more enjoy yourself, you know, and it's not just about putting out that content. You really are able to enjoy yourself. There's not
like a time frame limit. You can post a 4-hour long investigation, you know?
And yeah, for us,
cut everything.
We definitely want to enlighten people. And
yeah, we do it because it's fun. We want people to see it. It's cool, you know.
I definitely want people to see. I want people to see, you know, the difference between like having a good experience and a bad experience, and that it's okay to have a good and bad. Like there's possibility of both, and how to have a good experience rather than a bad one. So I love it. It's definitely more free range.
Like we also have fun in our videos too, or just filming. We laugh all the time. Like, yes, it can be scary, but you can also have fun, laugh your ass off at whatever, you know.
Right. And that's what it's about. It's about getting out there, trying to find evidence, having fun. That's what it's about. But being able to help people at the same time.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because you want to be able to, have fun at what you're doing, but also be serious enough to say, hey, look, you got something here. We're going to help you get rid of it. And Yeah, that's the best way, because that's why people reach out to us. They want that. Hey, they know something that I don't know, and I want them in here to check us out. So
Exactly.
but what is, before we get done here, what is your is that beeping? Anyway, I don't know why I'm beeping. What is on the horizon for SAW Paranormal?
Well, we're in the process of we release our videos in seasons basically because it's more time to edit and upload and all that and go to places. But we're in the process of season 3 of SAW Paranormal. We have a video coming out end of the month actually. Podcast. We're in the works of a super duper secret documentary. That's exciting.
Yeah, we haven't released much info on that yet. I think we're definitely trying to start to travel a little bit more in the next year or so. I know this summer we even have an event that people can join in on at the Hinsdale House. You can come camp with us and a bunch of other really cool guests. So there's going to be another demonologist, a couple of other really cool psychics there. It'll be a really good time. So we have stuff like that. I think we're going to be doing more events maybe as we go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fantastic. And, I'm so glad that you guys come on with me, and I learned a lot, and I hope our listeners and viewers, they learn quite a bit as well. And thank you for being on the show and helping people that really need it, because that's what this field is really about.
It's true. Yeah, no, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
This was one of the better podcasts we've been on, and your setup is really cool. I keep looking behind you at all the cool shit you have.
Well, I will talk to you soon, and I thank you so much again for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
No problem at all.
All right. Thanks, everyone. All right, folks. So check that out. Some great people, Shane and Alex, SAW Paranormal. They're going to go places, people. You watch and see. They got good heads on their shoulders. They're good people. And check them out. Facebook, YouTube. Give them a search. SAW Paranormal. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining in. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in with us tonight, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow to receive notifications when new content from Paranomaly Podcasts is made available. If you believe you have something paranormal happening in your home or business, or you believe you may have witnessed a UFO, a UAP, please send us your stories, your photos, videos, questions, suggestions, or comments to paranormalypodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit us at paranormalypodcast.com for more content and information, including all our social media links. Thank you again for watching or listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode, Paranomaly. Thanks, everyone.
The Facebook user.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody so much. And